The Gauteng Department of Health has warned people against responding to adverts promising bursaries and internships in the nursing field. In one of the scams, text messages were sent to people inviting them for an interview at the Biko Academic Hospital. We speak now to Motalatale Modiba, spokesperson for the department at Gauteng. Motalatale, I appreciate your time this afternoon. Off air, I was just asking if you had gotten my application. So clearly the situation is this is a bogus. Now, how does one determine what is a legit advert versus a bogus one?
Look, Hugo, there's a number of signs that one can look for. Usually, if you read the advert carefully, already you can begin to see a number of discrepancies. An example is now an advert that has been circulating calling for people to apply for nursing internships. You look at the top, the advert talks about 2022, 2020, 2023, 2024 opportunities, but as you go down into the details, the date changes. It talks about 2022. But also, when you go down, you look at the languaging, you'll find that they'll make reference to a government department, but maybe use an incorrect logo, or maybe use a wrong email that is not associated with a government at all. And then furthermore, when you go in, they'll ask you to click on a link sometimes and to put in your details. And when you do that, you realize that it sends you on a wild goose chase when you try to click some of the prompts that are put out there. So essentially, it's taking advantage of the socio-economic situations that people are finding themselves in, knowing that because there's such a high demand for access to job opportunities, people are no longer taking time to perhaps scrutinize some of the so-called adverts that are out there. And therefore, we're saying, before you send your details, take a minute, pause, go through the material, and just by going through the material, you will already pick up a number of discrepancies. For example, an advert that has been circulating now, it's got a poster on top, but if you look at that poster, it's last year's poster, and but the details that are put at the bottom seems to be calling for people to apply now. And usually, they don't put even clear contact details, because our contact details as government departments, they don't change. You go into our website, you can be able to verify whether this is a legitimate contact detail or not. But also, for a department like us as Gauteng Health, we've got very vibrant platforms in terms of your Twitter, Facebook, and other platforms, that if you are in doubt sometimes, go into those platforms, because usually, if we were to have this kind, we usually advertise some of these opportunities on those particular platforms. We utilize our traditional platforms, your DPSA circular, that anyone and everyone can download on the government website there. So there's just those checks and balances that people need to just pay closer attention to. The other catch is usually this kind of opportunities are linked to some payment of some sort. It's already a big red flag when you are asked to say, send through your application, but for us to process it, you need to contribute or pay this much for admin. Government will never do that. We never ask people to contribute anything when they're applying for jobs or they're applying for internships and so forth. So always double check, err on the side of caution. Whoever is behind some of the scams, they are well aware of the dynamic that people are finding themselves in, that when you're looking for a job, you don't have time to actually scrutinize a lot of details. You just send through your CV and so forth. They said things that you have people that sometimes go on and they lose their hard-earned monies. Some, their details are captured only to be utilized fraudulently somewhere else. So we're always pleading with communities to be very cautious whenever they see spam messages circulating. Rather, they will check with the authority consent that has been cited, so that you are sure that you're not falling into a trap.
So you can assure those that are looking for jobs that if they did pick up the phone or reach out to you on social media or via the phone, that they would be able to get some form of response. Because you'll understand that many of these people are obviously desperate. I mean, when we talk about the unemployment rate in this country.
Look, we do appreciate the socioeconomic condition, the levels of unemployment that we're currently grappling with. And I think there is a concerted effort across many government departments to unveil as many job opportunities as possible. And I mean, in Gauteng, we've got the Gauteng online portal. If you go to gautengonline.gov.za, you can be able to access that and register your details there. But it's always important to just double check certain minor details in the advert that could already give you an indication that I might not be dealing with a legitimate institution. I mean, we late last year in July advertised for people that want to enroll for nursing courses, and we closed that in July 2022. And now early this year, someone advertises the very same opportunities but using a bogus account. So we always say double check. On our platforms, we are very responsive. We will respond if someone texts us or even calls us. Fortunately, our numbers are public. If you go to the Gauteng online, you click under health, you will see our various contact details are there for the public to be able to access, to send a message, to call, so that before you jump in, at least you have satisfied yourself, you've done the basic checks, so that you don't find yourself being compromised at the end of the day. There are people out there who would go at length to take advantage of the pride of communities.
You are pretty crafty, some of these individuals, Motalatale. But tell me, would you follow up a case such as this, or are you inundated with a number of these that you don't have the capacity or resources to follow up? And also, around this time of year, you get a lot of bogus colleges coming up. Again, do you chase those up in order to protect the integrity of the department?
There are relevant authorities that are responsible for that. Usually, we encourage the public to report this to the police as well, so that they can be logged in and they can be red flagged to be checked further. But insofar as registration of institutions is concerned, there is through the Department of Higher Education, you're able to go into their site and actually able to check whether an institution that purports to offer higher education training or even your basic education, whether it's legitimately registered or not, especially the ones that are not so known, that are just popping up from time to time. We always advise people to go into those sites, double check, because these days, using technology, it's easier to actually double check and go into the higher education website and actually confirm whether an institution is duly registered or not, because we know in the past that there's been incidences where people have gone to study nursing at so-called bogus institutions, only to realize a couple of months later that the institution has since folded. They've run away with people's monies, and there's nothing we can do when it's like that. In Gauteng, we've got the Gauteng College of Nursing, GCON, which has got its own website that people can go into. We've got the Lebone College, which is for people that want to pursue careers in your paramedics, your emergency medical services type of careers. You can go there. We always advertise those details. They are always available on our platforms, and they've got existing websites that you can go into. So it's a question of the public being more vigilant, because you can imagine that on top of this kind of bogus advertisements for jobs, there's also advertisements for tenders and all sorts of things. So we always say to the public, err on the side of caution, report them to the relevant authorities. But as the Department of Health, we obviously would not have the capacity to follow up on each and every case that comes up. The only thing that we're able to do is to warn the public, to alert them in terms of what can they look out for, and then also what they need to do once if they need to verify or double check, or if they suspect that whatever advert that has been posted their way could be false. We're able to at least advise in that regard. But I don't think it is practical that we can be able to open a case on each and every single instance, but the members of the public are not prevented from actually taking further steps.
Now, finally, you talked about applications or job offers that were available, and you closed, I think you said, sometime in 2022. When is the next opening, and when are you looking to recruit?
Look, for the nursing intake, in terms of those that want to study at our nursing colleges, we always avail the opportunities around the same time every year, because it's quite an intensive process of recruiting. So around between April and June, we start then sending out messages and advertisements around that, because in July we close, so that to allow those that need to go through the applications enough time to go through them and so forth. But in terms of job opportunities, almost on a weekly basis, there's always job opportunities that are advertised. Those that follow our Twitter platforms, our Facebook platforms, but also on the DPSA circular that goes out every week. It depends on the nature of the job. You can also register on the Gauteng online portal, job portal, so that your details are there and then you are able to apply there. So those ones we advertise as and when vacancies or opportunities become available. But for your bursaries, for your internship opportunities, we've got a particular cycle that we follow, which always happens. We would not advertise opportunities for bursaries for this year. We always advertise the year before, because there's preparatory work that needs to take place, so that come the beginning of the new year, the intakes are ready to actually take up those particular opportunities.
Motalatale Modiba, Gauteng Health Department spokesperson, clarifying those issues and confirming that there are no grey areas where employment offers are concerned, and giving us the 101 on what to do to confirm if a job advert is legit or not.